Jordan, of all people, was able to secure an amazing interview with the UAW President Shawn Fain, and he did not pull any punches whatsoever. So you guys are going to get a taste of that right now.
They constantly were told by UAW bosses, live to fight another day.
Oh, yeah.
You know, we got to take this or they're going to close down the plant.
When I hear the phrase, live to fight another day, I want to literally beat the shit out of somebody. We had that embedded in our brains as workers coming through over the years. And it would drive me up a wall when I would hear a leader say, live to fight another day. Another day came and went over and over, and no one fought. And so this is our time. We call this our generation defining moment. This is it. And so, you know, and when I talk about not having limits, you know, throughout my campaign running for this job, and even since then, when we're talking about our issues, when we put our demands out there, I can't tell you how many people would say, you know, oh, you'll never get cost of living back. That's a thing of the past. You'll never, why are you fighting for pensions? We'll never see a pension. And all I heard is what we can't do. And unfortunately, that was driven by a leadership that had a can't-do mentality, settling for the bare minimum and making people think that's okay. The sky has to be the limit. We cannot limit ourselves on what we can achieve.
You've been compared to Trotsky.
This man studied Trotsky. I gotta tell you, studied Trotsky before pre-ice picking era.
He's now saying, hey, just shut them down, send them to Mexico, these plants.
I think there's a nuclear option on the table if he's not careful. And that nuclear option is a country called Mexico.
Joe Kernan, who's worth $3 million, that's his salary, at CNBC, he said, that's just optics, what the CEOs make. It doesn't really matter. UAW is deploying a, quote, politics of envy by continually hammering the CEO pay.
I'm not hearing a lot of concern about increasing CEO pay, increasing stock buybacks.
But sure, that's just optics. If you take the 20 or 25 or 30 million, that's de minimis for what we're talking about, the success of the company. Maybe optically it looks bad, and you know, it's a politics of envy and everything else.
Are you and the workers just, quote, envious of the CEOs?
I call it a politics of reality, the reality of what our members go through every day. I mean, the majority of our workers are scraping to get by, paycheck to paycheck. I mean, you know, that's not envy. You know, when workers start out at $15 or $16 an hour, and it could take them years as a temp to even get to full-time. If they get to full-time, there's no guarantee they'll get there. If they do, they go to 18, and then they have an 8-year progression to get the full pay. They're not, our members are, this isn't the old Big Three where, you know, it was the gold standard. When you got a job at the Big Three, you were set for life. That's not what this is anymore.
No, it is most certainly not. I love him. I do. I love him. You know what? That is a confident man.
You know, other labor leaders that are out there that are so-called looking to support working people, they can learn a thing or two from a guy like him. But it also speaks to the fact that, and this is the thing that conservatives, independent-minded people who lean to the right, when they talk about unions, at least for the most part, they talk about unions in the context of they don't view them the same as they view labor. There's no question that not all unions are created equal. There's no question that a lot of union leaders or bosses, you see, that should be the distinction between a union leader and a union boss. Shawn Fain is a union leader. He's not a boss.
And he's constantly referring to members and that it's the members, Like, I've never heard him talk about this from me, mine. I've not heard him say that.
There is no question that he is looking out for his workers, and his workers are dictating the terms of this strike. They have completely thrown GM, Ford, and Stellantis off in terms of how they were going to go about crushing this strike, and it's not working. They were very thorough in how they did this. And listen, I'm not going to stand here and say that, you know, Jordan has all of the answers when it comes to the right strategy, but he has been very adamant from jump that what UAW is doing is right, and their approach to this is correct. And there is going to be another round of strikes starting tomorrow.
Keep it coming.
So and this of course was a good follow-up conversation to what had happened just a couple of days ago. Ford decided to fire 600 non-striking workers. So they're trying to make they're basically trying to divide and conquer. That's their goal.
Not a good look.
No, it's not.
It's not a
because
good
most of them, and I'm sure that there was a discussion amongst the ranks that, look, even if we're not striking, we're totally with you on this. We know that you guys are doing what's necessary, so we support you in that endeavor. And so their attitude is, well, let's fire the ones that are not striking and maybe create a rift.
And you know what, though? That might have worked at some point, but not when you've got 75% of the country is standing with the workers. When you've got a country where that many people are standing with the side of labor, that is just not a good look. It's not going to serve them. People are hip to this game already. They get it. The jig is up.
And I'll tell
we
you,
get how much money that the CEOs have made and that they don't let it even affect anybody who works under them.
and this is also a reflection of where the country really is compared to where the powers that be. The ruling class has decided that the American people are just going to accept things as they are. Bernie was at the official launch meeting. Yeah, there were obviously going to be Michigan politicians that were going to be there that we don't agree with, but they're making they're making an appearance, if you want,
I hope
if you
so.
will.
I hope so.
So there is that solidarity that Bernie has instilled in so many of us. That Bernie's greatest achievements in terms of what his movement and in terms of his presidential runs actually meant, obviously bringing key issues, leading with Medicare for all to the forefront, but his emphasis on labor, and standing with labor, that's his greatest accomplishment because of the way people now look at labor in this country. Credit, and we'll obviously talk about John Fetterman in a minute. He drove out to Detroit to stand with the striking workers. Donald Trump is going to visit the striking workers on, I want to say, Monday, I believe. President Biden has yet to confirm that he is going to visit the striking workers. The idea that Trump is going there and once again is giving you multiple days advance notice that he's going to be there to stand with the workers, and Trump might even stand on the picket line, which is even more
That'd be
amazing.
hilarious.
The fact that he's doing that and the president of the United States in a state that he can't afford to lose, mind you.
Oh, he will lose it.
There's no guarantee that he's going to lose.
This is how it will happen.
But the idea that you think that you don't have to go there, that says two things. One, it actually says three things. One, President Biden is probably not making this decision. This is somebody else who's making it. They probably don't feel comfortable putting him in this type of a public setting where there is no control whatsoever. That's the thing about Trump that I don't think people realize. Trump could get thrown into the lion's den. He doesn't care.
No.
Like, he'll go where it's not, they'll say, Mr. President or Mr. Trump, this is not safe. This is going to look bad for you. This is totally fine. I'll totally handle myself. Whereas with President Biden, he must be in a controlled environment. They don't want to take any chances.
Well, also, I think that there's cognitive issues.
I do think that as well. I don't think that they can afford to put him in that position because that is really going to hurt him politically. However, the idea that he can't so much as make an official statement, won't go on TV, won't just go out, maybe even on a Sunday show, and just say, yeah, man, I totally stand with the workers. You know what they said that President Biden did the other day? He wore a red tie in solidarity with the work. I'm like, it can't be this. It can't be this.
That's like Kente cloth tails worthy.
But I refuse to believe that people are this inept politically. I refuse.
Well, that's
to
why
that.
I believe that they just don't care. That they don't. It doesn't matter to them. They don't care. Everything is brazen now. They don't even have to be secretive that they don't care. Nancy Pelosi's running again. Lady, if you were any good at your job, we wouldn't be in this mess.
Well, I think it's reflective. Obviously you can't quantify it at that level, but I think all of the money that Nancy Pelosi now has in her bank account is money that was stolen from all the citizens of San Francisco who are now suffering in the streets every day.
Something like that. Well, one way or another, it trickled in that direction. I mean, for people who don't realize where she comes from, she was always a bundler. She was a bundler for the party. She was always about bringing in money. She's a rainmaker. And everybody will tell you, the rainmaker always gets to call the shots.
It's amazing. Wasserman Schultz has been a congresswoman in this district for 2 decades, and it feels like a lifetime. Could you imagine having the same congressional representative for 4 decades?
Well, and you know what? Yes, if they were doing a stellar job.
But who really does a stellar job?
Well, I'm just saying, it's like if somebody was really doing a good job, your work would speak for itself. Your work does speak for itself, Nancy. Your work is all around us. Not a good look.
I think from the perspective of the labor movement, and this is where I think Shawn Fain's power really shines through the most, is that they have given no indication that they have any love for Trump or Biden. And that's kind of where it needs to be. Because if you want to unite the most amount of people in this country, I can't tell you how many people. Listen, there is this perception, and it's so much worse with the Democrats than it is with Republicans, but there is this perception amongst the party loyalist ranks that you're either a Democrat or a Republican. And if you're a Democrat, you're better than you are if you were a Republican. But the fact of the matter is, over half of this country today, and this is just what's on paper, what's in people's hearts and in people's heads is entirely different. I am a registered Democrat and have been for most of my life, but politically, I'm independent. There's no getting around that. My thought process is independent, even if I lean left politically. With that being said, that's the mindset of over half of the electorate in the United States. When we look at the voter rolls and the numbers that come down when the Democratic Party, in particular in Florida, one of their, if not their main prerogative, is to register voters, they're not registering in the Democratic Party, even when it is Democrats that are trying to get them to register. There is an independent streak that is growing very, very strong, ever so subtly in this country. And that's where I think maybe the greatest strength of what Shawn Fain and UAW is doing right now is they are representing workers full stop, not workers in the Democratic Party, not workers in the Republican Party, but independent working class people of this country. That's his greatest strength. And I think that that's the greatest strength of what they're doing right now.
Thanks for watching. If you want to support our mission to transform politics into service, please like this video, subscribe, follow us on social media, and consider joining our Patreon, where you'll get early access to our interviews as well as other exclusive content. Links are in the description. Peace out.